I really liked this episode with my friend Nathaniel Agoye. We've followed each other on Instagram for I think something like 2 years, and it's cool because his account, like sometimes you see an account and they follow you and you follow them and then they unfollow you. But his account, he never did that. And it's like one of my pet peeves with anything related to fitness is the bots that will send you like the smiley face or the hi at Christian Little and all that stuff. I like when somebody wants to make a connection and they're willing to go through the trenches with you. And certainly a person has every right to get bored of me or get tired of what I put out into the world. But I try really hard to not offend people. And so when I offend people anyways, it bugs me. Nathaniel stands out for being someone that I can really relate to on the level of being open to talking about faith. I think it's totally fine to talk about that stuff on a podcast. And everybody's going to have a different background. And I want to talk about it because more often than not, it makes them who they are. We talked about relationships. We talked about the importance of communication and the importance of love languages. We talked about essence. I wanted him to define essence in his words, and he did. And he talked about three people that he really admires and the essence that they have. And we talked about being a skinny 14, 15-year-old track athlete to becoming a super jacked dude. We talked about depression. We talked about mental health. We talked about communication. You're going to enjoy this one. Make sure to give it a rating on iTunes. Thank you. Let's go. Welcome to the Lifestyle Chase, Season 2. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. I'm your host, Chris Little. Let's get started. The Lifestyle Chase is brought to you by Yeg Fitness. Yeg Fitness is Edmonton, Alberta, Canada's healthy lifestyle community, creating and supporting active living for all. Check them out online at yegfitness.ca and on social media at Yeg Fitness. Welcome to episode 83 of The Lifestyle Chase. I am joined today by the one and only Nathaniel Agoye. I really hope I said that right. We practiced.
You got it right. Thanks, Chris, for having me.
How are you doing today? What's your morning been like?
Oh man, I'm doing amazing. So my morning, I woke up at 5:30. Well, my alarm went off at 5:30. I got up at 6 a.m. I did my devotion, so I'm a believer. I mean, you don't have to believe, but anyways, it's just a way for me to start my day off right. And then so I did my devotion, had a little bit of quiet time, had a coffee. This is my second coffee. Ended up going back to bed because my wife is not feeling well. So she basically just kind of cuddled her a little bit and then ended up falling asleep. Got ready for this. Texted the marketing crew, reached out to clients. So basically just a little bit of, client stuff. And then now I'm on the phone with you. And then I have another meeting at 1. And that's basically it. My morning has been productive so far.
That's awesome. I like that routine. I like the whole, because like some people are scared to talk about faith and stuff on a
Yeah.
podcast. My podcast is an open door for that. Like
Okay.
everything that makes up a person who they are, and like if I'm choosing them to be on the podcast, it's because there's lots of great characteristics and there's a good chance that their faith plays into that. And everybody's going to have a different background. And so yeah, I'm never scared of that topic.
Okay.
My next my next thing is I am curious, what inspired you to go to the gym the very first time you went to the gym?
Whew. That's I don't know if I'll say I was inspired as much as I felt like I had to. And I guess maybe the inspiration, that was my inspiration. I felt like I had to. The first time I ever stepped into a gym, it was 2 weeks before my 15th birthday. I wanted to. I was 127 pounds, I remember. I loved track and field. I wanted to be a sprinter. And when I looked at most sprinters, they were usually jacked, athletic. I mean, I'll say Usain Bolt is probably one of the few skinnier ones, if I can use that term. But I mean, if you look at Ben Johnson and everything, like they have muscle on them. So I was a sprinter, I felt like I didn't look the part, and I felt like I wouldn't be taken seriously as a sprinter with how small I was. So I felt like I had to put on a little bit of muscle. At the time, I only wanted to put on about 20 pounds. So I just wanted to be like 145, 150 pounds. And that's it. That's what made me go into the gym. I actually went with my mom as well, too, because once I was 14 years old, I was the only kid in the gym. It was a little bit intimidating. And that was basically it. I just felt the need to look the part of a sprinter, not just, run fast. I wanted people to be like, I think that guy's a sprinter just by looking at me. So that was the pressure I guess I put on myself. And I mean, now my goals, why I still work out, has changed. It's changed over the years, but that was the first thing that made me go into the gym. And actually, after I went to the gym, I hated it. I didn't go back until I was so sore. I was so sore, and I didn't want to go back into the gym until a week after I turned 15. So about 3 weeks later was when I went back into the gym because I was like, dude, if you don't work out, you're not going to put on weight, and you're not going to look like a sprinter. So it wasn't. I don't know if I'll say it was motivation. It was more like I felt like it was a necessity. I had to do it, and best decision I ever made.
I think that's really cool perspective because like a person that sees you now is gonna see this jacked dude.
Yeah.
Like describe yourself like weight and height and all that stuff to paint a picture for our listeners.
Okay, so if I was to paint myself, right now I am 5'9". I'm 5'9". Some people say I'm 5'8". It depends on who you're talking to, but 5'8", 5'9". I am 190 pounds. I am anywhere from 10 to 12% body fat. So basically, I'm lean. I have big pecs. I have so if I had to give you my measurements as well, I'll just give my measurements because I do that as well. So my pecs around right now, I believe I'm about 49 inches, but so I'm not too wide, but I'm quite thick. I wear large in shirts. I don't know if that helps. I have 16 and a half inch arms, pretty big shoulders. I've been accused of using steroids because my shoulders are actually a little bit big compared to some natural guys. Um, what else? I have long limbs, so my quads look pretty big. So I think I have 25 and a half inch thighs, and I have small calves, so my calves are about 14 and a half inches, but pretty solid. Most people would say most people actually ask if I'm a football player or I've only got baseball once, but most people, are you a football player? Do you play for do you play for the Stampeders? Like, do you a football player? I get that quite a lot. So I look like an athlete, and that's a good thing because I didn't want to just look like a bodybuilder. I wanted to have muscles, but I wanted to look functional. And I guess it paid off because I continued, training according to I guess the athletic foundation. So I look solid.
Yeah.
You Yeah.
Well, it's just helpful for people because the perspective is that we go into our gyms that we work out of, and maybe once in a while we'll see like somebody has a client and their client brought their kid or something, which is a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
Because like this kid, they're going to be thinking the same thoughts that you were thinking when you were 14, 15 years old. They're playing a sport in school, and like
Yeah.
it's not like they just kind of want to perform. They want to be better. Like not every story is a weight loss story. Not every story is like a they got dumped story. Sometimes it is simply an athletic kid that wants to be big
Yeah.
and to wants to look the part and everything, and it's just like that comes with its trials and tribulations. A person will look at like because I'll have like the picture of you for the cover of this episode, and they'll look and they'll be like, oh man, like that guy has been jacked his whole life. And it's like
Yeah.
you had to work for it. It's like
Oh yeah.
every jacked dude that you ever see in the gym had to work to get there, and they continue to
Yeah.
work and everything like that. As far as like a day-to-day routine for you goes, what's the biggest thing that has ever pushed you away from your routine, like taking you away from the gym?
Ooh, that's a tough one because the gym is actually kind of a little bit of a therapy for me. So I find that when life gets tough or when I'm stressed out, I actually end up going to the gym. But I'd say in university, university was a little tough sometimes. My goal was always to work out about 3 times a week, maybe four if I could make it. And there were times in university, depending on the semester or the courses I was taking, I'd only be able to make it to the gym once or twice. But I'll say injury. Injury was probably the thing that kept me away from the gym for the longest. But usually, even then, it'll be about a week or so. After about a week, I'd start feeling like lower, not lower. I just felt weird, like low energy. I felt bored. I didn't. I mean, I've been working out since I was 15 consistently. So for me, taking a week off, if I didn't plan it, was just weird. I felt like I was being lazy. I felt, even though I was, working, I was going to school, I still felt like there was something missing. Like I could be more productive. And for me, just working out, training was, a way for me to continue being productive. I feel like I slept better. My mood was a lot better. So definitely injury is one thing that kept me away from the gym the longest. And then the second thing, well, that I can remember that kept me, that almost actually made me stop working out was mental health. So this would have been in 2016. 2016, I went through, well, I'd been dealing with mental health struggles for about 3 years at the time. So from 2013 and 2016 was at its peak, I would say. And I remember feeling so depressed that I did not want to go to the gym. I remember having a conversation with myself. I'd packed my gym bag and I was like, why am I still going to the gym? My life is going miserable. Like my life is miserable. My business. So I was working as a personal trainer then. I went from 18 clients to having about 6 clients. So I was kind of I wasn't making a lot of money, and I remember just feeling like, what's the point? Like, why am I going to work out when I'm not making money? I should just be, I should just give up. I should stop. Like, what's the point in having a nice physique? What's the point in having energy? Like, I don't feel confident anyways, and I think I stopped working out for about 4 days. But then, something kind of just clicked again. It's like, dude, if you stop working out, so working out is one thing I've been doing. So I've been working out for about 11 years. And I just felt like if I was to stop doing something I'd been doing as long as I'd been driving, I I would it just felt weird. It's like I've been driving, I've been working out about the same length. If I stop working out, my life could take a different turn. And I didn't know what that turn would be. It kind of scared me. So after 4 days of not working out, I went back to the gym and I'm happy I continued because I felt like if I probably stopped working out then, I probably would not have touched a weight again. I don't think so because I was just so down mentally and that was it. So that was the second time I'd say that life kept me from the gym. So injuries were number one, and most of my injuries I had before 21, and then at 26, mental health was a big thing that almost prevented me from stopping completely. Like I wanted to quit. Just I wanted to give up. Just I had no motivation to go to the gym. I was doing it because it was a habit. And at that point, it felt like, this is a stupid habit. Like, it's not benefiting my life, but the funny thing is, I actually did. I remember I had a good workout that day. I went, I was angry because it's like I'm in the gym, and I worked out and I felt good after. And I'm happy I continued.
That's good insight, like because a lot of people don't talk about that stuff. Like it's pretty popular now to end the stigma of mental health, but I think it's just like you can't even say it enough. Like because it's such a scary topic for dudes to talk about, especially dudes that like you'll often see maybe like the beginner fitness person and they'll be brave enough to talk about it
Yeah.
because they don't feel like they have any ego to lose. But
Yeah.
it's not as often that you'll see someone that could be mistaken for a football player talking about mental health. So it's
Oh, no.
like
Yeah.
it's good to get everybody, as many people talking about it as possible. Like that's sort of like one of my things with this podcast is if I can get people to be brave in their episode, that's awesome because that's going to be helpful for most of the listeners that I attract. Like a lot of them need to hear that. That's why they listen to the episode. But
Okay.
outside of like fitness and working in the gym and stuff, like you hit that low, finances would have changed. You got bills to pay, but like
Yeah.
how do you like mentally get yourself through that? Because like a day in the gym can help, but like what are the logistics that you put in place during a quiet time in your training career?
Ooh. So, that's very interesting. So, I mean, so ever since I started working out, once again, I started working out because I wanted to look like a sprinter. So for me, I see exercise, I view it as a reward for my body. Because I mean, I ended up tearing my knee shortly after high school, so I wasn't able to run varsity because my goal was to run varsity and then hopefully run for Team Canada. But then I tore my knee right after high school, and I wasn't able to get it repaired until I was 24. So basically, I got slower, heavier, all that stuff. And so, I had to change my philosophy or change my goal as to why I kept working out. Because I mean, now that I wasn't going to be a sprinter, it was just like, well, why do you have to keep working out? So I worked out just for the benefits. I loved being strong. I loved being quick. I liked the confidence. I liked the energy. I felt like I had more energy compared to a lot of my peers. So and also then I realized it was a discipline. The fact that I was able to keep working out consistently, regardless, whether school was happening, exams were happening. So it became this thing that I not a sacred thing I'll say, but it just became this thing that what, this is a reward for my body. It's a reward for myself. This is my time. I have so many responsibilities. I'm the firstborn, so I have this pressure of being the firstborn. I'm a student as well too. I work part time, but at the same time, I need to invest in myself. So for me, working out was a way of investing in myself. And once I started doing that a little bit more, I started realizing that okay, now that I'm taking care of the physical aspect, I also need to start taking care of other aspects of my life, like my personal development. So I started reading books as well too. So reading, and then just even going to the quiet time. So for me, it's all just trying to keep everything well rounded. I don't feel like just focusing on the physical is good enough, because I mean I believe in the like the pyramid, or the three aspects: the mind, the body, the spirit. So and I mean, whether or not you believe in God, you still want to be connected to some higher power, I believe. And then you want to make sure so your mind as well, so your mental health, your own personal development, you're doing something daily, or as often as possible, to elevate yourself. And just so you can contribute to society, be a better human being, and just be better. And then the physical aspect too, because when you're taking care of your physical health, you have you can live longer, and then once again continue to contribute to society and to others. So for me, it really is just the discipline, and just being consistent. Like, working out taught me consistency. So if I can be consistent with working out for almost 15 years, I can be consistent with taking care of my mind. I can be consistent with taking care of my spirit. And it's just the balance. I don't want to say that balance. It's a priority. It's just prioritizing it, making it a focus, and that's it. So my routine is having a few different things I'm going to do. Like in the morning, I get up a little bit earlier, so around 5 or 5:30, do my devotion. I work out 4 days a week, so Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, or Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursday, Saturday. And then what else? I'll go for walks every now and then when the weather permits. And then as far as reading, try to read. Last month I read 4 books. This month I'm a little bit slower. I've only read I'm on my first book, so I'm only reading one book this month, unfortunately. But that's basically it. Just having little goals to hit, and just being consistent with it. And the reason why I say little goals is because I've tried having several big goals before, like 5 workouts a week, 6 workouts, but then you end up getting burnt out. Getting up too early. I tried getting up at 3:30 a.m. because I was reading. I listened to Eric Thomas once, and he's like, "Oh, I get up at 3 a.m." I was like, "You know what, Eric Thomas, I'm gonna get up at 3:30 a.m." It's rough. It's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah.
So I found for me 5 a.m. is doable. And then what else? As far as the reading, just keeping my mind, refreshed, because I find like it's very easy to get distracted with, life and what you see. And that's it, and I found that with that, just being able to, prioritize those things, it's helped me become a better person, a better businessman. And I don't stress about, bills, life, because everything just takes care of itself, I find, I have this philosophy. Well, I have a lot of philosophies or quotes that I live, and one of them is your perception determines your reality. So if my perception is that, what, I need to just take care of myself, make sure, all three aspects of well, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, that I'm going to prosper in life, and I'll be able to take care of my family, my wife, all that stuff. And it's been happening, when I feel like I'm a little bit, when some bills came like this month, my bills are actually a little bit more than my income, but I'm not worried at all. I'm not stressed. It's I it's just life. It just happens, and next month is going to be a lot different. So I don't really feel a lot a lot of pressures or anything like I did before. And I'd say a lot of it was probably because of my daily routine, reading and just my spiritual growth and my own mental development. Because before I wasn't addressing my mental health, I was only addressing my physical health. And school was just a huge priority in my life. And, it's so when I didn't have enough money, I'd stress all that stuff, and now I don't stress. I actually find out that when I need money or whatever, it just comes to me. Like I end up signing two new clients or whatever. Somebody reaches out to me, hey, are you free for a consult? And like it's life just brings the right people to you. So as long as I continue with my priorities for me, my daily routine, and just trying to be better, life just gives me what I need and just make sure I'm well taken care of. And that's it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You basically said things that I say, but then they came from you, so it validated it.
Okay, good, good. Yeah. It's
So,
the
oh, you go.
No, it's the truth, honestly. Like it's something because I mean, before I'd hear it from other people. Well, not other. I'd say I listened to Les Brown, listened to Eric Thomas, I listened to Earl Nightingale, all those guys, and I mean, they'd say it all the time, and I was like, man, you know what? Like, not that I didn't believe in it, but it's hard to visualize or to imagine when you're not doing it. But then when you actually start doing it and you make it a routine, you're taking care of yourself, you're prioritizing your personal development and everything. Literally the doors open. And now it's hard for me to stop. Like why would I stop and stop the universe from blessing me? Like I don't I don't want that anymore. Like I want more of it. So yeah.
That's awesome. So one of my friends uses the word essence to describe a person, and I want to see your take on it. Like, if you were to describe someone's essence, what would that description be? Like, pretend you're describing somebody that you admire, and you're
Okay.
describing what makes up their essence.
Oof, the essence. What makes up the essence? I would say the 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 essence would be, oh man, the way the maybe the perspective on life or the way they handle tough situations. And the reason why I'd say tough situations is because when everything is going good, it's easy for everyone to be happy. But then when things are not going your way, how you respond to that is kind of what your true character or your true, what your values are, what lies within you is is shown, is brought to light. So how a person carries themselves, just in conversation, how they relate with others, the smile, the body language, the confidence, all those things, and then how they handle tough times or tough situations, just a perspective and the outlook on life. I think that would be how I would describe a person's essence, and I feel like it's kind of sometimes easy to pick up on because some people with strong essence or good aura or whatever, they come in and they lighten up a room, they interact with people, and people just feel touched, they feel happy, uplifted, and just a better person. So I don't know if that if that works.
Yeah, that was a great way to put it. Like you nailed it. What I like about that way of seeing things is I find that people are more likely to thrive when they are surrounded by people with that positive essence, or maybe their core values align and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
I've had lots of situations where I've been just surrounded by these just really good people, and it feels like it's bound to like a building or bound to like an area of town or something. Then you realize it's just like you can like open the door of communication to these people and just
yeah.
keep them in your life. If you could name like three people or describe three people that like are part of like your community that kind of make you feel better through the good and the bad, who would they be?
Who would they be? My friend Brad. I actually had met with him yesterday for coffee. He was one of the pastors at my church, and we end up we actually ended up just becoming friends. It's I never thought I'd actually end up becoming friends with a pastor, and our relationship isn't even like oh pastor and everything. We don't really talk about God. We just talk about life. He's got 3 kids, so I kind of he for me he's about 8 years older than me, I think. So, anyways, it's one of those. I respect him as a as a man. I see how he loves his wife, he loves his family. So, and just he's a very very kind guy. Very supportive of me and my business as well too. Believes in me, and yeah, I'll say Brad is definitely one of those people. My friend, my best friend Jeremiah is number 2. He is, oh man, he is a very patient guy, very kind as well too. I would say I'm not the most patient person. Patience is something I had to learn with my through my wife actually. She's a very patient person, or I've had to learn how to be patient with her anyway. So my friend Jeremiah is a very thoughtful, very very empathetic person, and I'll say it's very rare to find empathetic men because men we're usually sympathetic. We want to fix things or whatever, and my friend Jeremiah taught me empathy, and just not that he taught me, but just in how he lives his life. He's taught me empathy. He's taught me just how to be thinking of others and everything, and who else? So Jeremiah, and then I would say Hafiz would be another person as well too. So my friend Hafiz. So my friend Hafiz as well too. Is his essence as well too. Like he's big on kind of personal development and just uplifting others, and he's also an entrepreneur as well too. So he does his own has his own business as well too, and he's one of those people who has been there for me when when I have struggles or whatever in business. I can talk to, and and basically he'll listen and kind of give motivate me as well too. Like, what, it's just part of the struggle. He helps to remind me that, what, sometimes he's going through the same thing, because my other friends work 9 to 5s, and there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. It's just when you're doing your own thing, when you're starting your own business, there are ups and downs. And sometimes when I'm in the down, he's just, he reminds me it's just part of the struggle, and to keep pushing. And you know every conversation or every interaction has been amazing. I met him in university in the first year, and then I thought he was a quiet, shy guy. And the more I got to know him, the more I actually got to like him. He's one of the very few people from university I'm still very close with. I met a lot of people in university, and Hafiz is definitely one of the people I still keep in contact or close contact with. So those 3 people, Brad, Jeremiah, and Hafiz, they've been very influential in my life, and my business, and just in my development, and just my whole growth. I've learned stuff from their personalities, their characters, and I can't say that I'm this amazing person because it's just me. They taught me indirectly. So yeah.
That's a great way to put it, and I like that you highlighted the difference between having people in your circle that are nine to five versus self-employed. And yeah, I like to reiterate it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with 9 to 5, but just the psychological stuff is going to be so different
Yeah.
because their ebbs and flows are going to be based on different framework. Like
Yes.
our stuff is like because we're making up our job every day, and sometimes it doesn't matter how much we try to make up our job, there's just no job. So then we
Yeah.
have to make up our mindset
Yeah.
because there's nobody that's going to be like, all right, well, it's a pizza day. Like, we got to make our own pizza day, you know? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's so true. So it's good that you have a mix in your circle. My next
Yeah.
question is going to be a little bit hippy dippy. In the last 7 days, what has been the moment that has brought you the most joy in the last 7 days?
Ooh, in the last 7 days. Today's Thursday. I mean Wednesday.
Get your days right, man.
Uh, yeah, really trying to think. What has brought me the most joy? I would say, oh man, on Monday, I had this. So I on Monday, I remember just waking up and just feeling like, you know what, this week is gonna be amazing, and it was, and not so much that. something special happened. Like last week, I'd say it was one of those down in the entrepreneurial business, but then this week my mindset just shifted. And the thing that brought me the most joy was just like how one of my clients just I'd called her on Friday. I noticed she was having a little bit of a she came in with bad energy. I could just sense that something was a little bit off, and I spoke with her for about 50 minutes on Friday. So it was a lengthy conversation, and when she came in on Monday, she was happy, she was excited, and she came and I gave her a big hug, and she was so like, I mean, just I could feel the joy, the thankfulness, and for me, I'd say that brought me a lot of joy. Just I really do want to change people's lives. That is why one of the things I got into fitness, and for me, that just seeing her and how thankful she was just for that conversation. It wasn't even the training. I spoke to her as a person. I shared my story with her, and just having her so excited and just seeing the life or the joy back in her eyes, her smiling and everything. She had an amazing workout. I'd say that brought me a lot of joy. It fired me up, and it's like, you know what, I'm definitely doing the right thing. I'm doing, I know I'm doing this fitness thing. It really just reassured me, and not that I always need reassurance, but it really just just another way of validation, and just making me feel like, you know what, I'm on the right path. That was arguably in the last 7 days one of the most joyous things that had happened. Just like it was beautiful. I felt happy that I was able to help her a way that maybe nobody else would have. So she was very thankful, and it made me happy. I'm happy that I was able to be in a position to sense that and to help lift her up. And yeah, that's it. It's just her response, her gratitude was touching for me. So yeah,
That's a great way to put it. That's kind of like how I see a lot of my training sessions. So it's again, it's cool that we see eye to eye on so many of these things, because it's just like sometimes as a trainer, it's like, am I the only one who feels like this? Like, am I the only one who gets like this joy out of like, oh wow, like I asked how their day was and I talked them through some stuff. Like sometimes I feel like other trainers are like, really, you're wasting your time on that, but like it's so important for us as personal trainers to prioritize that aspect of things.
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, because I'd say I mean, not knocking on other trainers because I can only speak for myself once again, but I see sometimes, some people just view it as a job, a way to earn income, and it is a job, a way to earn income. But I want to help people, and I treat them as people. I mean, these people are paying me; they're helping me pay for my bills. So the least I can do is, when I sense that something's off, or they need a little bit of uplifting or whatever, it's like, you're my friend, let me help you. And I guess that's a very good way to actually put it. She called me her friend. She was like, you know what, Nate, you're not just my trainer, you're my friend. Like, she was crying on the phone and tears of joy. And for me it was, I was happy that I was able to connect with her and relate with her, because I don't I mean, I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I don't know anybody else who would have been able to do that or say what I said, because I mean, she said that my story was kind of what she needed to hear, and she didn't even know that, so she looks up to me. She respects me a whole lot more, because she's like, you know what, if you went through that and you're still doing this, like, mine is peanuts. So she was, just seeing her change like 180 degrees. It was, for me, it's beautiful. And yeah, as trainers, we definitely need to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more mindful, and just perceptive, and look at our clients, and when they come in and they look like they had a rough day at work, or they're just tired kids, just ask them, hey, how are you doing, how's everything going, and just give them a hug, or like just let them know everything's going to be okay, and just remind them that they're people. And it's not just about this training sessions, it's about them. Like, you're making an investment in their life. And that's something I wish all personal trainers feel or think. And I'm sure most of us do want to help, but sometimes we just get distracted, because it's like, oh, we have 60 minutes, let's go. We got to do your warm-up. We get so caught up in what we have to do, that we forget about the person. But I think more about the people than what I have to do. So
Agreed. Agreed. That's awesome. I'm curious about how you met your wife. Like what's the story behind that? How did you know she was the one?
okay, how did I know she was the one? I knew she was the one. So when I met her, about 2 months after I met her, I had this feeling like I think I'm going to marry her. But not that I wanted to marry her. Actually, I didn't. Oh, I wasn't. I just kind of had a feeling I was going to. But how did we meet? So we met in 2014, October 2014. Um, so I'll fast forward a few years, or rewind a few years before. So in 2014 we met. In 2013, my friend actually wait, in 2012, my friend had told me about this girl. He was like, "Hey Nate, I like so I'd gone through a bad breakup or whatever before. So my friend was like, "Hey Nate, like there's this girl. I think you'd like her. Like she's great. Very good girl, Christian girl, all that stuff." I was like, "Dude, I do not want to hear anything about girls right now. My heart is broken. I hate girls. Don't talk to me about this. I want nothing to do with it." Yeah, and then so a few months passed. I'm over her. And he was like, "Yeah, so like, do you still want to meet this girl?" Like, so I didn't even know her name. He just kept saying this girl, and it's like, I feel like you'd like this girl, and I was just like, man, like, what's up with you and this girl? Okay, fine, I'll meet up with her, right? Like, I'll meet her. So he had invited me to come out once to a party. So like we were all out. Like he had invited me to come out to a social gathering, a party, and I was going to go, but then one of my friends actually just broke up with her boyfriend. So she was like all upset, crying. So basically, I went to be her friend there, and I was like, you know what, just basically help her get through, be a shoulder to cry on, all that stuff. And ended up not being able to go to the party. So I was like, hey man, I'm just handling some stuff right now. Like I can't be there. So I didn't get to meet my wife then, or my soon-to-be wife, and probably a good thing because I probably wasn't ready for a relationship then. I mean, I got over my ex, but I was still in this weird limbo. I felt like I was still trying to put myself back together. Um, my ex kind of put me through some, I guess, mental, well, emotional like stuff. Like she belittled me, all that stuff, and like so I was basically working on my confidence all over again. So I felt like I wasn't ready to be in a relationship, which was a good thing. And then 2013, I'd done a bodybuilding competition the same day as my friend's birthday, and so we were supposed to go out to go celebrate. And I unfortunately had to. I unfortunately was sick. I had a cold, so after the show, I just went home. I was sick, and my wife was there, so I didn't get to meet her again. And so, anyways, but I knew that there was this girl he wanted me to meet. But he had told her a little bit more about me, so she knew my name. She knew like what I looked like. I didn't even know what she looked like. He hadn't shown me any pictures, right? So I didn't even know what she looked like, but so she knew me. And then what happened? Yeah, so fast forward to October 2014. So this is gonna sound, I shouldn't say it's gonna sound weird, but there's this girl, and we had gone for a wedding on one of my friends' wedding in Mexico, and so I tagged my friend Austin in the photo, and anyways, this girl liked the photo and followed me, and I was like, oh, who's this girl who's like following me? So go figure, it's Instagram, right? So I was like, oh, this girl's cute, like I like this. So I didn't know that that was a girl that he was talking about, but I remember asking him like, yo, Austin, like, yo, who's this, like, yo, who's this girl Miranda? So her name is Miranda. I was like, how do you know her? Like, who's this girl? And I was like, oh, remember the girl I was telling you about? That's her. I was like, no way. So from then, okay, I was like, you know what, I'm hooked. Like I was, because I mean she's pretty. So anyways, I felt like I had to get to know her. Took me a few months, but finally worked up the nerve to send her a message and everything, and asked her to hang out. And she was excited, because I guess she knew a little bit about me. So the first time we met, it was weird because I felt like she was very weird. Usually not that I'm usually more comfortable, I find, because I talk a lot. I'm usually more, laid back. And I find sometimes people, it's the whole first impression thing. They want to make a good first impression. And for me, I have this thing where I'm like, if you don't like me the first time you meet me, that's cool. Like you either like me or you don't. So I wasn't trying to make a good first impression. And I felt like she wasn't either. Like we were just both just authentic and real. And, we just talked. It was the conversation flowed smoothly. But I felt like she was also a little bit quiet, a little bit more quiet than somebody I would want, but continued, dating, or I guess I called it courtship. I was like, I'm gonna put you on probation. I like you, but I don't really want to like jump into a relationship because I mean, like for me, I take dating seriously. If I'm gonna date you, it's because I probably see something further down. I want to be, a serious commitment, all that stuff. So after about 3 months of getting to know her, I asked her to be my girlfriend. And even before I asked her to be my girlfriend, I already knew that, you know what, she's going to be the one. Just I knew the type of person I was. I knew what I wanted. She had a lot of the values, similar values or values I was looking for in a woman. I knew, we talked about things like, religion, education, just and everything just clicked. So that was basically it. 3 months later, I asked her to be my girlfriend, and then a year, almost in our second anniversary, I proposed to her. So before our second anniversary, I proposed to her, and then we got married after 3 years of dating. So 3 years of dating, we got married to her, and we're going to be celebrating our second anniversary in May next year. So
That's
yeah,
exciting. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So technically, you slid into her DMs, did
I
you
mean,
not?
basically, I guess I don't want to say that, but I
I
did.
know.
But I did.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So as far as that journey goes, like what's the toughest mountain that you've climbed as a team? Like we're talking like just analogies, not a literal mountain. Unless you've climbed like Everest or something, you can talk about that too. But
Ooh, what is the toughest mountain we have climbed? Man, I don't know if she'll want me to say this, but at the same time, I mean, I don't think she. Well, I'll just say it. I don't think she'll care because it's me anyways. She can get mad at me later. But the toughest mountain would climb, I'd say, was shortly after we got married. It was our anniversary. I mean, our honeymoon. So we were in Bali in our honeymoon, and so we'd been not even married for. We went for a honeymoon. I think 2 weeks, 2 3 weeks, no 3 weeks after we got married. We went for a honeymoon. So this would have been like week 4. We were married, not even a month, and I remember so she was going through like a period in her life where she felt like she wasn't enough. I guess she'd finished school, she started working as a physio, but she wasn't really liking her job that much. And I guess the reality or the fantasy of what it'd be like to be a physio versus the reality was like, oh well, all I'm just doing is just manipulations and soft tissue. It was kind of a little bit different, but she wasn't really too happy, and so she was a little bit hard on herself, and just going through a little bit of a tough mental time. And she felt bad for me, or she felt bad for me because she felt like, what, this guy's so wonderful, he deserves more. He overcame depression. He's overcome a lot of things, and like, he's just such an amazing guy. And I'm making his life hard. I'm making this tough. We're on honeymoon, and I'm not even happy. I'm just kind of, I don't want to go back, like, because basically on the honeymoon, she was just like, oh, I don't want to go back to work. And it's like, we're not thinking about work right now. This is a honeymoon. Let's enjoy the time, Bali. But she kept thinking about, going back. And, it's one of those, like, it was almost like she wasn't enjoying the moment. And it was tough for me because I'm like, well, if you can't enjoy the moment with me and we just got married, like we just started living together, like, well, then this is going to be a little bit challenging. I want us to like just, celebrate our marriage and just live in the moment. And it was a little bit hard for her to do at the time. So you know, she was just like, what, like she had told me that when she got she had this plan that when she got back or whatever, she was just basically going to like leave me or whatever because I deserved somebody better. And oh man, that was something like when I heard, I cried. So I cried because I mean, like, and that's the thing. I'm not really a crier. Well, I was not. I'll say now I'm more comfortable with crying because it's one of those. Now it's just it's a way of expression. Like, I feel a deep sorrow, a deep pain, and I let it out. But then, it broke my heart because I love this woman. She's incredible. And then to hear that she wants to leave me and she feels like I deserve better. But I'm like, but you are my better, like you are my everything. Like, how can you, it was very, very tough for me, tough for us. And so we basically had to work on our relationship in while we were on our honeymoon. It was a very tough thing to do. She didn't want to because, once again, she felt like, oh, she's just letting me down. And, the fact that like, oh, that I want to enjoy the honeymoon. And, she, now we're, doing this, we're working on our marriage. And I was like, you know what? Like, but that's what life is about. I told her that I love her, and my definition of love for her is I choose you. I choose you through the good, the bad, the ugly, and it doesn't matter. Like I don't care what you're going through with work, what you're going through with your mental health. I'm going to stick with you through everything. Like, forget, yeah, I did overcome depression. I did overcome all these things, but it doesn't matter. Like, this is my life with you matters a whole lot more than my life without you. And I told her that if she was to leave me, because of my bad experience with my ex or whatever, if she was to leave me, honestly, I don't think I would want to be in a relationship. I'd probably just move somewhere. I'll isolate myself, just have a dog, and just live the rest of my life just in solitude. And just letting her know that she means a lot to me. She matters to me, and not that she was my world, but she enhances my world. Like, well, if she was not there, then like, what's the point in like? I don't think I have a good life, and just reassuring her. And I'd say that was arguably one of the toughest things that we had to go through. We had only been together for 4 years then, so yeah, it was just well, not even 4 years. It was like just past our third year anniversary, well, third year dating or being together, and yeah, it was very, very tough. I mean, who goes to the honeymoon to cry and to almost like we just got married and it's like, well, I'm gonna leave you. Like it's who I don't know anybody who's experienced that, but that was a tough time for both of us. But honestly, I'd say being able to work through that and being able to reassure her that what, like, I'm still here for you. I'm not going to leave you. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what of your faults or inadequacies or whatever. I don't care. Like, you're enough. Just and just going and just working through that and growing together, I'd say. And I feel like now she's more confident in herself. No mental health issues or struggles anymore. We're both in a better place. We've both grown together as a couple, and just as individuals as well too. She also does a devotion. She reads books as well too. So we're both in a better place, and I feel like if we hadn't gone through that, um, we may not be as strong as we are right now. It really was very challenging. I mean, I am just thinking, oh man, I met this amazing girl. I love her to death. We were married, and then now I'm hearing that she wants to leave me. Like that was like, geez, like I mean, it was kind of heartbreaking. But it's we worked through it, and we were a lot stronger. We've had fights, obviously, since then, but nothing close, nothing like I'm gonna leave you, or I want to leave you, or you deserve better. No, now it's just like, what, I'm not perfect, and we work through it. You're not perfect, and that's it. We both realize that we are two imperfect people, and we're going to have issues, but together we're strong. Apart, not so much. So it helps solidify our bond. It helps solidify our marriage, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But at the same time, if you have to go through a tough time, just stick it through. I feel like every marriage has its own issues, its own K leg. So, you can't just think the grass is green on the other side. I mean, she felt like I deserve to be with somebody better. And it's like, no, you're the somebody better. And just, really being adamant and really being stubborn and letting her know that I'm not gonna let you go. I don't care what you're going through, like I'm going through it with you. Like it's and just being there for her, letting her know that I'm going to be there. And now I know that I mean, she knows that I'm going to be there, and I know she has my back 100%, and she knows I have her back 100%. So that was arguably the biggest mountain I think we had to overcome.
That was perfect. Like, I think some people think that they're the only ones who go through that stuff, but it's just like I've had so many conversations in the last year, and I know so many people in their ebbs and flows of their own relationships and their careers and stuff. Like, you're definitely not the only one who went on a honeymoon and had that happen. Like, it's just, and it's when people talk about that on something like a podcast and somebody can just listen to it in solitude, then it empowers them to make love more of a sustainable thing. And that's as personal trainers, that's what we want. We want to uplift people in whatever way, shape, or form. And I like how you talked about how you wouldn't wish that upon anyone, but at the same time, the outcome was this strength in your
Yeah,
relationship, and we know that inevitably people are going to have to go through this stuff.
Yeah.
But the more that we can talk about it and the more that we can just learn from it, the more sustainable something great about life will be for more people. Like
Yeah.
we almost want somebody to go through that so that they can experience that newfound clarity and strength with people that they care about. We don't want to just throw it at them, but we want them to be able to handle it, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree. Yeah, so maybe if somebody has to go through it, it is, just stick through it. I think marriage is a choice, love is a choice, and like I said, I told her, you know what, when I say I love you, I choose you, and I reminded her of our vows. I was like, you know what, through young and old, through thick and thin, like I'm there with you. I don't care what's happening. Like this is just the beginning, and I felt like if I just got mad at her and I was like, oh, you ruined the honeymoon, then definitely we probably wouldn't be together today. But just yeah, and I think she said for her, seeing me cry just kind of showed her like that because before I even said anything, I just cried. It was just like I couldn't believe what I heard, and she felt bad, and she knew then that what, this guy really cares. And it's not that she didn't think I cared; it's just she was in her mind, things were just so clouded, so whatever, and just being vulnerable, being able to cry. So if any guys listening or whatever, if you feel pain, you want to cry honestly, you never know, it could help, because sometimes just trying to be tough or trying to just just keep the feeling and be this tough guy or just man up or whatever you want to however you want to put it, it might not be the best. Sometimes just crying just shows how human, how vulnerable, and how soft you are. So for me, I mean, I'd say that helped save my my marriage, and we're able to talk through it and work through it. So cry if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of goes back to communication because a lot of people see communication as just words. Like
Yeah.
they think that a text will suffice. Texts are dangerous, you know, like the context that gets lost.
Yeah.
And so like I look at it kind of if I need to, it can be a text. If I can, it should be a phone call. If it's possible, I would love for it to be in person. Like because communication is so key. But then it's like what we speak is one thing, how we act is another thing, how we react is another thing, the things that we do when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like when you support and care about someone, how do you express it? It has to be more than just the words and stuff. So
Yeah.
if we were to like look at I'm gonna just call it your love language, and we'll take like we don't need to worry about the physical stuff because everybody can just assume all those things. But just aside from that, with your communication and how you express that you really care about your wife, what would be your top three ways of doing that?
Oh, well, I'll actually just give you two, my top two. Well, because I know my love language. It's acts of service and words of affirmation. Those are it. So those are how I feel loved. So when my wife tells me, you know what, you're a good husband, you're a good man, whatever. Thank you for doing this. Like, thank you for doing the dishes. Thank you for shoveling the driveway, whatever the case might be. To me, that makes me feel loved. That makes me feel valued. And when she does things for me. So even small things like meal prepping or, just, hey, can I help? Or, like, can I, do you want me to take photos for you, for your content, for social media? Or, I can read your captions. Do you want me to edit your blog? Whatever the case might be. When she wants to do stuff for me business wise, because I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, you wear a lot of different hats. So when she wants to wear one of those hats, it's for me that makes me feel loved. So that's how that's how I feel loved, and that's typically how I express my love to people. I lift them up. So with my client that I called on Friday, just words of affirmation reminded her that she's badass and she's awesome, and she's unique and everything, and just spoke into her life, and that helped. And then also once again, acts of service. One of my friends I basically was able to hook up with a sport check discount and say, you know what, if you want to get some gym clothes or whatever, go. So, that was just my way of saying, you know what, I really care about you. And that's it. For my wife, her love language, so because how I feel loved is different from how she feels loved. So hers is quality time and physical touch. Basically, when she comes in, I have to like give her a hug. If I ignore her or I don't come and give her a kiss on the cheek or whatever, or hug her, then she feels a little like, okay, something going on. Is he mad? So even though I can say, hey baby, how you doing? Or like, oh, you know what, you look beautiful today. If I don't like hug her and kiss her, as I said, so typically when I'll say, you know what, baby, you're beautiful, but I'll also hug her and do that as well too, because then it just validates it. If I just say, baby, you're beautiful, she hears it, but sometimes she doesn't feel it. So I have to speak her love language, and that's something I've had to learn. And then also just quality time, when we're together sometime. Actually, when we first started dating, we had this thing where I'd put my phone away. And sometimes my mom would call or text. And she's like, how come you don't have your phone? And I was like, well, because I'm hanging out with Miranda. Like, I want to let her know that I respect her and everything. So I'll put my phone like in the kitchen or whatever, and I'll call you back, or just say, hey, mom, I'm going to be hanging out with Miranda. I'll call you later or something like that. Or, and even now sometimes, when we're together, like we'll put our phones away. It's just a no phone zone, just so she knows that, you know what, like this time it's just you and me. There's no distractions, and that's it. So we can communicate. We look at each other, and that's it. There's no, oh, Instagram is going off or whatever. And it's typically for me around 8:30 or 9. Once I come home after training clients, um, maybe you have a 10-15 minute window to like message me. But once I'm settled, once I've said hi to her and everything, I catch up on her day and I put my phone down. Yeah, bye. That's it. I'm giving her, time, because I mean, I've given other people time, so I just need to give her that same amount of time, and that's basically it. So my love language is acts of service and words of affirmation. Hers is physical touch and quality time. And for quality time, sometimes it even just means being proactive or thinking of what to do on dates, because just like, oh, you know what, do you want to go for a picnic or whatever, or do you want to go for ice cream? And she's like, oh, you thought of me, and yeah, so I have to speak her language.
That's awesome. And I like putting that onto like a fitness podcast cuz like that's the stuff that nobody talks about that everybody could benefit from. Just
Yeah,
like look at your love language and even like whoever it may be, like because people can benefit from communicating more concisely through anybody in their life. And it doesn't have to be the lovey-dovey shit. It can be like, "Hey, I got a bro. My bro likes the fist bump." So I give him the
yeah,
fist bump and then he feels better. You
yeah,
know? Like it can be applied in so many different directions. But my
yeah.
next question for you is sort of like a business question. It's just a short and sweet one. I'm just curious, in the last year, what's been the most like effective thing that you've done for your personal training business, whether it be like somebody you've met, something you've implemented, a thing you've changed to your day, whatever it is.
Ooh, that's easy. So in the accountability part of my business, let's say one thing that I learned from my mentor is adding a little bit of a personal touch. So you know how we're talking about communication and how it's key, and sometimes texts don't always work. I send voicemails to my client. So on Fridays or Saturdays, basically over the weekend, or sometimes during the week, whenever they need it, I'll send a voicemail. And when I say voicemail, it's just if you whip up your phone, there's for some people, I don't know how iPhones work, but I have an Android.
Yeah, I have an
There's
Android too. Yeah.
things like voice recording or whatever, and I just press the button and hold and just say, "Hey, Josh, how you doing today? I just wanted to let you know I'm really proud of what you did today. You've been consistent. You got 3 workouts in, beautiful job. And just uplift them, because for them hearing my voice, it's a lot more personal than just a text message, because I mean you can even schedule a text message, right? So it's one of those, just letting them know, and they hear the voice and like, oh, you know what, like Nate's happy, and they can hear the tone in my voice. So if I'm like, yeah, good job, blah blah blah, then it's like they know. But if I'm like excited, like, yo, I'm fired up, all that, it's definitely helped. It's I'll say that is definitely one thing, just the communication and just being very clear with it, sending the voicemails and just being more personable and just treating them like people. And I actually also do that with some of my friends too. If it's just a quick text or something, like you're making plans, I'll shoot them a message. Brad or Jeremiah, and like they send me something sensitive, or they're going down. Instead of just sending a text message, sometimes I'll send them a voicemail, or and I'll say that's definitely one thing that has been a lot more effective. It separates me from other people, because most people will usually just do an email or a text. No, I send you a voicemail, so you know that I took time away, or I took time. I didn't just, I took time, and you can hear my emotion and my energy. So that's definitely one thing that has helped me with my business, I'd say.
That's great. That's the kind of advice that I like. If you were like, man, I started up with a click funnel and I would be like, dude, No more. I'm kidding, but
Yeah,
like it's just I like to build from like the foundational stuff and move outward.
yeah,
And if a person needs some kind of a change in logistics or they want a new marketing tool, that should be like a second thing.
yeah,
There's so many cool ways that we can spread out our email or spread our message, and it involves all the different technology that's out there and the analytics. But if our core product isn't like wholesome and high quality and full of intention,
yeah,
then what's the point of splatting that all over the internet, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So I like where your head is at. And I'm going to segue to the final question that I ask all of my guests. And it is, if you could give one piece of advice to someone on how to live their life to the fullest in the most authentic way, what would that piece of advice be?
Whew. Be you, be authentic, be different. Like, we are all different, and I think sometimes, life tries to make us fit in a mold, a bracket, a niche, whatever. Like if you're an accountant, oh, you all have the same job, you're all doing this. But that's the thing. Bob the accountant is different from Mike the accountant. Like, you have a different personality, a different energy, a different vibe than someone else. You have a different message. So it's just be you, stay true to yourself. Don't get distracted by others. Don't look at what others have. Focus on what you have and try to work on your strengths. Just be you, be different. Somebody needs to see, that person. Because I mean, if you're the funny guy, be the funny guy. But don't try to be the funny guy because maybe there's some quiet guy in your office who needs to know that what, it's okay for him to be quiet, and he'll start feeling confidence in his quietness or whatever. Or for me, for an example, like just talking about my faith. Who never just being able to say, what, yeah, I believe in God and whatever, and I'm not perfect, but at the same time, I'm trying to be a better human being. Who never knows? Some guy will be like, oh my God, I'm a Christian too. I believe, and sometimes I feel like I'm not perfect. I feel like I'll be judged, and just you never know. Just being authentic, be you. I think that's one thing I can say that would definitely help people live a full life and a happy life. Because when you're yourself, you're doing you, what makes you happy. You don't feel like you're not measuring up. Because if you're just being true to yourself, you're doing you. Like, you're being the best you can be. Like, you can only be yourself, what you are. So biggest advice I'll say is just be authentic, be yourself.
That's awesome advice. So I'd like to thank you again for joining me today.
Oh, thank you very much, Chris, for having me. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure.
Hey there. So if you made it this far, my challenge to you is, first of all, share this podcast in your Instagram story because it helps me so, so much. Then I get to see that you're listening. Then I get to have the ability to repost and share with my other people how far the reach is, because it's really cool to share these messages. I get a diverse selection of guests. I try to get them from the Edmonton region. I try to get them from all kinds of other areas, whether it be people that I've met in person, people that I've come across on social media. Sometimes I'll have a goal of a certain episode. Sometimes it's to bring more of a discussion to mental health. Sometimes it's about relationships. Sometimes it is about physique or just like self image. And this is to help other people. If you would like to support the Lifestyle Chase, some of the best ways to do that are to share the episode with your friend, listen to another episode, put a rating on iTunes, or just send me a message and pump my tires, because I have feelings. I put a lot of work into this, and positive feedback is always, always, always appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. I will catch you on the next one.